Hi, my name is Kevin Ty, professional photographer, and this is the Malden Chamber podcast, where we interview some of the amazing sponsors and community members of the Malden Chamber. My co-host Donna would like to introduce yourself.
Donna Denoncourt, past president of the Malden Chamber of Commerce, and currently my vocation for financial advisor with Boston Life Financial. So glad to be co-hosting with Kevin.
Awesome. And today we have John. And John, I'll let you describe yourself in a way that the best way you see fit.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Well, Kevin and Donna, thank you so much for having me today on your podcast. My name is John Thornburg. I currently serve as the president at Malden Catholic High School in Malden. It's a co-divisional high school, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I'm just really happy to be here, and thank you so much for the invitation.
We're glad to
Thank
have
you,
you,
thank you.
John. How many years you been in Malden Catholic now?
I'm completing my fourth year.
Ooh.
Malden, go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, is Malden serving you well, the city of Malden? Because you don't live in Malden, correct? You just work here.
That's right. I commute in from outside of Malden. Yes, the city of Malden has been spectacular. I have to say, when I accepted the position, the very first note I received was from the mayor of Malden welcoming me to the school. And that was really a sign of the whole city embracing me and the school, long tradition there. And I found, we use a lot of the different services in the Malden city of Malden, and it's been wonderful for us. And I couldn't imagine having the school in a city that is better, has a better partnership.
It's always good to hear. And I know Mayor Christensen is really good about welcoming new people and having them feel welcomed to the city. So glad to hear that it accomplished, I know, what Gary was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
That is really, really special. Yeah, the mayor's been very much like involved in a lot of the business development and education, and he's just in a lot of different places to really leave a mark of wanting Malden to be something just so much more, so much better, so much just greater every single day than ever before. I heard you said you commute to you don't live in Malden, you commute here.
That is correct.
How long?
You trying to see where I commute from? Is that the question, Kevin?
Well, I'm always curious because like when I used to drive over I used to teach at Somerville High School from Malden, and on a good day it's about 15 minutes drive. In the mornings it's about a 45 to an hour drive sometimes because of all the traffic. And I throw on, depending on the day, a different podcast, but sometimes I throw on just rock music to get my mind into the zone of getting ready for school. So how do you get ready to come into a place where you have all these students coming in?
Yeah, so my drive in the morning is about 45 minutes. And, I've tried audiobooks and some other things, but I think I'm like you, Kevin. I listen to rock music. There's some programs on different channels. I've kind of learned where to surf to catch certain tidbits along the way. And it becomes such a regular ritual that I know my progress on the commute by where I am when something comes on the radio. And it's just become a habit in the morning. And I have to say, for many years, I worked at a school where I lived on campus and I just would walk back and forth to work. I've come to enjoy the commute. It really gives you time to think and just reflect. Being from the Midwest, though, Boston drivers are still something new for me.
That could be a whole nother podcast, John. We won't even go down that path.
That's right.
Wait, we can't? Oh no, I never want to.
Sorry, Kevin. Sorry,
No.
Kevin. Hey, so you brought up right away a term I think you want to, I know I want to explore a little bit more, is that co-divisional. What does that mean? What does that mean for the school, for the students, and for the community?
Yeah, so when you say the word co-divisional, it's an interesting term, right? You've got co together and then divisional, which is separate. And that pretty much describes Malden Catholic. We were an all-boys school for many years. As you know, the school was originally located on Highland Avenue, real close to what was called Girls Catholic, which closed in 1992. And then when we moved here in 1968, we enjoyed many years as an all-male school. And then about 6-7 years ago, the board started asking some questions. Should we have a middle school? Should we add girls? And it was decided, looking at Catholic education on the North Shore, there weren't very many opportunities for all girls education. And since we had this close relationship with Girls Catholic years ago, could we reimagine Girls Catholic here at MC? And so what they did is they were able to take some areas of the building that had formerly been used by the brothers, Zavarian Brothers, because we're a Zavarian Brothers sponsored school, and recreate them into classrooms. And so we moved the boys to one half of the building and girls to the other half of the building. So if you come here during the school day, every class is either all boys or all girls. Our lunches, there's 4 of them, 2 boys' lunches, 2 girls' lunches. So we're almost like 2 schools, we call them 2 divisions, because we try to make sure we're one school. And that's been one of the challenges when I first arrived, to really create that culture. And it's been very successful. I mean, our enrollment numbers have just really gone through the roof, both in the boys division and the girls division. So we're a co-divisional school. I invite you anytime to come visit, because it's really something special.
I love that. Like when you said you came in, it was like it's a challenge, and you're trying to create a culture. Can you describe what that culture is like, and
Sure.
how you develop that?
Yeah, so when I arrived, we had 2 principals, a girls' principal and a boys' principal, very talented, both of them. But when you have faculty having 2 faculty meetings a month, and you have teachers teaching English 1 on the boys' side with a different curriculum than the girls' side, it becomes very challenging. And though you don't mean to, it can become almost like you're working at 2 different schools. And so we moved to a 1 principal model, and the student council developed a theme at the end of my first year based upon a Bible verse. And the Bible verse was from the book of Philippians, which talks about unity. And it was united in spirit, intent on one purpose. And we embraced that. And since we moved to that model, so much has changed to create a community where the boys and girls before school and after school visit, they know each other. But then it's like once school starts, they go to their separate sides and accomplish their tasks. And we call it a culture with the best of both worlds. You've got the single gender education with less distraction, teachers able to tailor to the needs of young men and young women. But then at the same time, the social elements of being together as boys and girls. And like I said, I think it's something pretty special.
I like that you talked about really caring for like the teachers, and making sure the teachers are not like overwhelmed, like double the meetings and stuff. And then also getting input from the students, which is like, I think that's really spectacular. And then also just drawing in faith from that, and like having them create like a mission statement. I think that's really, really cool. Like what else? Because I was a teacher before, and being a teacher has been very difficult a lot of times to get support and help. How else have you worked with developing a better culture for teachers, in addition to minimizing like meetings and stuff?
No, that's a great question, Kevin, because you take a school when I arrived that had around 560 students, and next year it'll probably have somewhere around 860 students. That's tremendous growth, new faculty, a lot of changes. And as you know, you've got to have the entire organization, especially teachers, on board. And so what we did is we brought back what's called the Faculty Staff Advisory Board, where they meet several times during the year without administration. And they really make a list of concerns. And then they meet with myself and then the principal. And we keep this dialogue going, if it be class size, teachers, discipline is always something to be discussed, and other things like that. We keep a very open, transparent dialogue going. And as you know, Kevin, any school, there's always challenges. You're never going to get it perfect, but at least we know that we can talk to each other and work together to solve problems. And this spring, we did a faculty staff satisfaction survey that was anonymous, and it really echoed many of the things that we hear in the advisory board as well, that we're addressing and working with our faculty. Our faculty also, we started some social events. I know it sounds simple, but during the pandemic, it was very difficult to get together as a group and really get to know each other. So we brought that back as well. And this happens to be Faculty Appreciation or Teacher Appreciation Week. So we have anything from dress down days to free lunch to breakfast to gift cards at Fresco's down the street, which they all love. So, we just keep honoring and valuing them and listening to their voice to work together.
And Fresco's is a longtime Chamber of Commerce member as well. So they've been a great sponsor as well.
Yeah.
That is really cool. How do you compare, or what schools are similar to your format, or is there a school similar to your format in the country? And if there are, do you look to them as guidance or, kind of brainstorming best practices, or are you one of the few?
No, when we went to go to the co-divisional model, there's a school in Colorado, Regis, who is a co-divisional school. And so we visited, this is before my time, but a team visited that school to kind of lay the groundwork. And then I touched base with the head of school there several times. Challenges like we moved to one principal model, how to do graduation, all those things that, when we're coming up on them, we check in with them to see what they've learned. How do they do their campus ministry? But to the question of how many there are, I think there's less than 5 like us across the nation. I have my communications director here too. Diane, is that right?
There's only 3 others.
3 others. 3 others.
Oh, okay. So very small space.
Yep.
So if someone, Blaze.
But
So-
trailblazing.
Trailblazing. Yeah, I knew what you
Not
meant.
trailing.
Well, I just read too, or heard recently, Matenon is closing. So do
Yes.
you imagine that impacting your possibility for a larger class, those who still want that kind of faith-based school?
Yeah, it's always challenging when another Catholic school closes.
Yeah.
And to be honest, to be candid, it's very sad. I know the head of school there, a great man doing great things. But sometimes, there's bigger factors that cause those decisions to be made. Since Matenon announced their closing, we've had 62 families reach out to us
Wow.
asking if there's space here. We're already putting a modular classroom in the parking lot to accommodate the students we have coming in next year already. Now, I did talk to the head of the school yesterday, and we're particularly concerned about their incoming seniors. And we're going to see what we can do to accommodate some of them here so they can graduate from a Catholic school. But I know it will impact enrollment. How many? We'll just see what we can fit. But it is a definitely challenging time when you see something like that happen. As far as the long run, Matenon was one of our competitors, really. We had families looking at both. I would expect families looking for a Catholic education, that number to increase as we go forward.
Well, I hope that it is sad when I heard about it, and they had been around for a long time and a strong foundation. I hope that they maybe can offer you what Regis has been able to offer, is, what they've learned from this kind of horrific experience of having to close versus Regis's successful experience in maintaining a co-divisional institution.
Yeah, if you've been reading the news, Matenon is not the only school that's closed this year. St. Joe's Prep closed, and then Mount Alvernia closed as well. And we've, got families coming from those schools. We actually have some faculty coming over from some of those schools for some of our positions. And so it's an interesting landscape for Catholic schools right now. There's a foundation. Can I ramble a little bit?
It's yours to ramble.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I don't eat up too
Kevin
much.
will cut you off.
Okay. So the Lynch Foundation hired a firm to do a study of all 85 Catholic schools in the Boston area, K through 8, 6 through 12s, 9 through 12s. And it was around what strategies are they using to be successful?
Mm.
And when they did that, they asked questions about enrollment. The trend the last 6 years in Catholic schools, even with the pandemic, is a negative trend in enrollment. They listed all the schools on a graph, and over to the far right, there was one school whose bar was so high, it was at least double any of the other ones. And I asked them which one that was. That was us. We're really defying anything Catholic schools are doing in the area. And, that's for a variety of reasons, our co-divisional model, some of the other strategies we've done around enrollment. I think where we're located in Malden plays a key role because we draw from 40 or more communities, and we're kind of located kind of smack right in the middle of that. And I think also we're affordable and give out a large number of scholarships as well to enable families that might not be able to afford a Catholic education to be able to do that. And so when they shared that data and we saw where we were, they said there are 3 things schools are doing, Catholic schools are doing. They're adding gender, which we did when we went co-divisional. They're adding space, which we own the building across the street. It's an old fish factory. It's 50 Crystal Street is its address. That's what we refer to it as. And we're looking at going into a capital campaign to add some athletic space and some additional classrooms there. And so we're marching right along with what the best practices seem to be. And we're very happy. We don't toot our own horn or proclaim what's happening here because we like being a nice, quiet partner in the city of Malden because we know how good we've got it, and just really happy and thankful for where things are headed.
Not so bad. Tooting your horn is okay with us, I think.
Definitely, please do.
Yeah,
What is-
please do.
What is your role in? So I heard that there's the principal, the head of school, then there's also yourself, and then just a lot of the strategy and talk about that and how that's going to change. What is your role in particular within the school system? And then also, second question to that is like your role in terms of how you work with the community of Malden and the other neighboring communities as well.
Sure. So if you look at our org chart, I'm at the top. Many times a public school refer to me almost like a superintendent type of role. And then the principal reports to me, and he has 2 division leaders, a boys division leader, a girls division leader. And then we have a dean of students who, for all intents and purposes, handles discipline. And that's the academic kind of chain of command. And then we have the business side that have folks like Diane, who you met, our chief marketing officer and whatnot. So my role day to day is really outward facing around fundraising, strategy, working with the board, working with the community, and those types of things. And then the principal is really focused on running the day to day within the academic area. And so it's a very common leadership model. They call it the president principal model. A lot of Catholic schools have embraced those. And so, that works well. As far as in the Malden community, I get out, I try to give Mayor Christensen regular updates with what's happening here because we want to be a good partner. We know 175 of our students are from the city of Malden. And of that 175, we give out about $1.4 million worth of aid to make sure they can be here. We have partnerships when it comes to the parks that are next door here that we partner with the city to use. We do some youth sports camps over the summer with our athletes for the Malden youth to be here and participate in that. We have a very aggressive internship program over the summer that a lot of it focuses in the city of Malden around some environmental things around the river and some other things. And so, we want to, as a school, we realize we're fortunate to be in the city of Malden, that we serve the students of Malden, and that we want to bring back to the city because of everything they've done. In reference to me in the community, I'll visit service sites. Right now, all our seniors are out doing their Christian service to kind of finish up their time here at the school. We have service opportunities during the school year. Before the pandemic, the mayor was holding some education meetings with folks from the public system in Malden, and I was a part of those as well, just a conversation going on there. And we have a few, I hate to say it, but I think we support Pizza Pizza and Frescoes on a regular basis. I see the Pizza Pizza gentleman here a lot. We hosted a local forum last year around environmental issues for the city of Malden as well. So we just always look for, and I talked to Joan too about, future opportunities. We have a new performing arts space that I shared with Joan and said, if you guys ever want to hold a meeting here, it's almost, you could set up almost like a TED Talk kind of situation here at the school. And we're open to sharing that with the city too.
I wrote that one down.
There's so much. I love the idea of you said that the students are going out to serve the community as well. So it's not just you extended, but like the school, the students is representing Malden Catholic. So can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So for example, the Bread of Life is located in Malden. That's one. Faculty and students provide strong support, and we provide yearly financial support as well. We are a faith-based school, and we think it's important to look out for others. The Zavarian brothers, who were the sponsors of our school network, also believe a lot enabling students to have an education is a prime core of that. If you looked at other schools our size, I'm willing to bet 9 times out of 10, the financial aid we give compared to our overall budget is far beyond what other schools like us give, because we really do feel we serve a mission here in the city to serve students, to serve the community, and be a part of what's happening here. I don't know if I answered your question, Kevin. You might have to ask it again.
I love that when the question goes this way and the answer goes that way.
Yeah.
Never the two shall meet.
Yeah, I'd love to hear like some stories that you're very proud of your students that are working out and being part of the community and serving.
So I'm going to look at my notes here because I'm going to get this wrong unless I do. We have 4 students working on a project with Malden Urban Media. And last year they did almost like a Twitter video that they were very excited about. And those students are very talented. And they ended up producing a video that was really creative. And they really took to heart what's happening in the city and were able to communicate that. Another one was the students who went down along the Malden River and really spent time there to understand what was happening, the ecology of the river, the history of it, and have come back and reported to us what they did and also put together a presentation. Really proud of that as well, that they took the time to do that. Diane, am I missing anything? Because I know.
Focus on cleaning up the Malden River, and what they were trying to do is to influence that community to come out and help and get involved, and they felt like it was very effective.
Yep.
Their cleanup meetings and also their videos and with Urban Media Arts.
Yep. Yeah, Urban Media Arts, right?
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's definitely what Diane just kind of added there, John, is the fact that, and I know I hear from friends of mine who either have kids at Malden Catholic or are alums of Malden Catholic, there's a lot of pride there. They feel pride in where they're going and or where they came from, and I would assume that pride comes back to you all in either time or money. And I'm sure that's where you were saying that some of these ability to support students who can't necessarily afford it to be able to attend because of the generosity of alums and parents at the same time who are happy to send their kids there. If you could describe some of maybe the core elements that you feel Malden students and alums, because I know you're 10 years short, but obviously you've done a lot of work there. What are the core elements you think they leave Malden Catholic with?
Yeah, so I'll touch on this, and I have a feeling my chief marketing officer will encourage me to use our tagline in the end here, but I'll
Okay.
ramble a bit and then let Diane clean it up at the end. So
Okay.
it just works better that way. She's smiling right now. She's trained me well, right?
Yeah.
So one thing they talk about in the Xaverian charism, or spirit or gift, as they translate that, are really two things. One is enduring personal relationships. The network that the students have, the alums and their connections, just runs really deep at MC. And it always surprises me, no matter where you go, Malden or elsewhere, and you're talking to someone, they ask where you work, someone always knows someone, or they are someone who has gone to school here and can reference a story or something that is in the MC lore of legend. And so I think just that connection with each other is one.
Mm.
And then when you walk in the building, there's a crest on the floor and it has a Latin phrase. It's plus ultra. And what it translates to is more beyond. And the image you can use is if you came to a gate and you felt like you'd accomplished and discovered everything you could in life, and then this gate with a door said, there's more beyond to do, to learn, to experience. That is really what our students embrace. And we give out, a Plus Ultra award at our gala to an individual. We give out Plus Ultra awards throughout the year to students every quarter for those who have shown that they have gone beyond what they ever expected to do. And you mentioned, Donna, some of our donors. That summarizes them. We have folks that when they were here at Malden Catholic came from blue collar families and have gone out and been so successful. And they always say, the best decision I ever made was to attend Malden Catholic, or the best decision my parents ever made for me was to attend Malden Catholic. And so what happens here is we make a difference. And, I'd like to say it's me and my leadership team, but there's something ingrained in this culture that students are known, they're challenged, and they embrace opportunities ahead. And Diane, through her work in branding, has come up with 3 words, and I should use them. Otherwise, I might get myself in trouble. And they're and I'm going to get them wrong because now I feel nervous. But what are they again, Diane?
Serve, lead, and excel.
Serve is the one I couldn't remember. So serve, lead, and excel. And we feel like our students learn to serve and the value that, become leaders in that, and then excel as they go out into the world. So that's really what we do. If you asked someone off the street who we are, and this isn't official by any words, but they always say Malden Catholic's like a scrappy underdog who always overachieves no matter what happens or any challenges that come about because of what they learn there about perseverance. Diane, would you like to add? Go ahead, Diane, you want to add anything there before I continue?
I think you did a great job.
Okay,
Phil.
thanks.
And one of the things that we used in our gala, and the concept is that we lead beyond. So we
Lead.
lead beyond expectations, lead beyond possibilities, even lead beyond what you feel like you could do.
Okay.
yourself.
All right. Thank you, Diane. What were you going to ask, Kevin?
I was
Oh.
gonna say, you got the thumbs up there from Diana, sounds like.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, exactly. And I also want to say that what you described as the scrappy institution that's proven itself, I think that's how Malden sees itself too. That we are not the city that people point to like Somerville and Cambridge, but we are always right there fighting our way and always showing off what we can do too. So I feel like you kind of described Malden Catholic and the city of Malden very similar, and we're always like, we're the underdog, but we're always right there, when we need to be.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because if you look at some of the other schools we compete against, or some of the other schools in our network, which all the schools are great in our network, but we're different, in that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Does a lot of this culture come from the teachers, or like you said, like there's something in the culture that's there that's really pulling us off. I talk about the faculty and how they contribute to all of this as well, and how do you choose like bringing strong teachers? Because you also say it's growing, right? Like there's more students coming in now than ever was before. Like what is your school's idea of like what makes a great teacher, and how can they contribute to the culture of the school and everything you just mentioned?
Yeah, so a great question. So, we're a Zavarian Brothers sponsored school. There are 66 brothers left in the United States. The average age is around 75 years old. We are one of the few Zavarian schools that still has a Zavarian brother working at it. And so the XBSS, Zavarian Brothers sponsored school, has been very intentional in getting administrators and teachers together to pass along that mission the brothers started, when they opened Malden Catholic, or Boys Catholic, as it was originally called. That is this building relationships with students and then pushing them to exceed, and while holding them accountable. So how do we select teachers? You asked about that. Number one for us is, and this is going to sound strange, you got to really like kids and building relationships with them. And I think anybody goes in the teaching profession is going into a ministry. It can't just be about lessons, and it can't be about just homework. It's got to be about learning relationships with students. And we liken it a lot of times to the model of discipleship, where you're really passing along part of your life to someone else and showing them what's possible and that you believe in them, and then equipping them to go out and do that. And those are the transformational things that happen here. So we look for an individual like that when we interview. And fortunately, we've been pretty successful because when we did our recent survey of parents and others, it came through loud and clear that our faculty are dedicated, committed, and show a care and concern for students. I know, Kevin, you're a teacher, so I don't know, how does that resonate with you when you were?
I think so. I think beyond just the technical skills, which I think anybody can learn, the technical aspect of what it is to be in a classroom, how to create assessments, formative summative assessments, and things like that. Really, it's like you're there because you want to listen to the kids. And like you said, like I think you said, like every classroom is different from each other, and that's what your school said has done, is like so that you can differentiate between who's in the classroom, and then depending on what class you have, the lessons taught differently because you know how each of the students learn, and the only way you can do that is if the students open up to you, and the only way students open up to you is if you build that trust and relationship. That might take time.
Yes.
It might be immediate, but if there's a culture of those teachers being there for a while, you just learn them, and they just become individuals. You teach into an individual, even if you have a class of 25 people, and find that is hard. I think, as teachers, but if you have administration that really cares, and I love what you said about like the teachers can get together and the teachers can talk, and the teachers can bring this stuff up to you, and at least there's a dialogue, as opposed to like what I've seen sometimes in teachers' room is there's always that corner of teachers who just they love to feed in each other's complaints, and they don't make effort because the administration doesn't create a space for that. And I love that Malden Catholic creates a space where if they have something they want to say, they can say it, and they can work together for it as well. That's really cool. That's superb.
We try our best, and so far seems to be working. Our faculty retention this year is really strong, and we're really proud of that. We worked really hard. After the pandemic, there was a little, instability as people, just started thinking about what they wanted to do, and teaching changed a little bit. And we're thankful now we're back to very strong retention.
Let's talk about that for a little bit. The pandemic has affected all businesses, all organizations of different kinds, and everybody has to adapt in one form or another. with students being out for many years, and then teachers also have to adapting to new technologies and then new means of communication. How has Malden Catholic changed, and then how do you anticipate it will continue changing in the next immediate future for the next like 10 years?
Yeah, right. So, the pandemic, obviously nobody could expect that coming, and business has not been usual since then. We were very fortunate between the technology, our teachers being willing to adapt, and our students and families being supportive, that we went to a hybrid model. And it was interesting because, one day half the class would be in the classroom and the other half was home learning at the same time, attending. And then the next day it flipped over. And going to that approach allowed us to keep some sense of community. And since we've come back, I think everyone doesn't take as much for granted about being in person and in the building. And if I had to say anything, it's a greater spirit of thankfulness and appreciation for people. And I don't want to say kinder and gentler necessarily, but it's almost like the spirit is a little bit more celebratory. Every day we have school, and we're very thankful for that. As far as technology and faculty go, I think we've all now know that that's not going away, although we don't offer hybrid anymore. We still, if it be online homework or other things, since everybody implemented that during the pandemic, those portions have continued. I think if I asked the faculty if they wanted to teach hybrid, they'd probably grab pitchforks and everything, come after me. But definitely the capacity to be thankful, to be more appreciative, to offer more diverse ways to educate students, to be open to experiences, because I believe our students still and teachers are still, working through some of the things, some of the effects of the pandemic are there as well. I'm thankful that our enrollment has continued to increase, and we're able to weather through that in a strong position. But those are some of my initial thoughts.
Absolutely. Yeah, no one likes the hybrid. My wife is also a teacher, and she had to teach the hybrid model as well. And it's just really difficult to get everybody engaged, because you have to teach one way to the people who are there and one way to the people who are at home, and then making sure that everyone's on the same page. It's much easier when you can see it in their eyes, see it in the way that they fiddle with their pencil and those little tiny little details of that. So that's good that it's coming back. But I've also heard you say like people are really grateful and thankful for the in-person and the community of that, and that's something I don't hear very often. Can you share a little bit of like how that is expressed in the classroom and just like outside the classroom since from 4 years ago to like now, like, or 3 years ago to like now?
Yeah. So, we have a boys division and girls division, and my observations in the morning is every morning with the students, it's almost like a family reunion when you haven't seen people and they get together. Now, I will say the girls division is a little bit more exciting. The boys are a little more subdued in the morning, but I would say I see teachers in the cafeteria during their free periods talking much more, where they might have just stayed in a classroom planning. And there seems to be a greater need to celebrate, I guess I'm using that word a lot, to connection and being, connected with each other. And so that's what I would notice. There just seems to be a greater appreciation. In schools, you do so much every day. And of course, teachers are asked to do more than they can ever do in a day. And, they don't get paid anywhere near what they deserve. And as I said, it's a ministry. And I think there's a capacity there, and Kevin mentioned it, to sometimes there's a lot of challenges. And if you think about it, you can be very negative about it. I was a teacher for 20 years. I'm sure I was in that category at times. I feel like that has diminished some just because the fact that being in a school together with colleagues and students is taking on a whole new reference point, because before it was just the norm. Now we know there's a world where it isn't the norm, and there's just an appreciation for that. That's what I sense.
It's
You
good
have
to
a
hear
lot
that.
of, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kevin.
You have a lot of responsibilities, and I see, like, we're talking a lot about um working with the local parks and working with the mayor, and then working with like different businesses, and then the teachers and everything like that. And then you also talk about fundraising, which is a whole different aspect of relationship building. And a lot of nonprofits, a lot of organizations really want to develop their ability to raise money and to build community and support around it. And you have like decades of experience with, not you, but like Malden Catholic has decades of experience with that. I was wondering if you could share a bit about what you found successful in fundraising, and building excitement and support for the school.
Yep. So, yeah, as you said, this is my 4th year, so I don't consider myself an expert on the next things I'm going to say, but I will tell you my impressions of things. Malden Catholic is very fortunate that we have probably a dozen individuals who have been quite successful and are very committed to the support of Malden Catholic. I think when we did our last capital campaign, they raised about $25 million. Most of that came from those 12 individuals, and just showing, how valuable our donor base is. Obviously, those donors are getting older, and that kind of generation doesn't come around every day. And so now our task is cultivating a new generation, new donors. And fortunately, as I said, the network is strong at Malden Catholic. And our work now is just to reconnect. And they say people you could raise funds for a name. I'm Malden Catholic. Do you want to give money now? It's changed. People want to support causes. And so now it's a matter, as we develop these relationships, connecting what we're doing to the folks that really have heartstrings. So, for example, the performing arts space, we needed $1 million to convert our old auditorium. I mean, that was for naming rights. It cost more than that, to turn it into a nice, like, black box kind of space. And I reached out to an individual who I know his daughter was really transformed through the theater, and asked if he would be willing to give us that money. And he was. And it was a huge win for us, a huge win for his family and everything. And about 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from another one of our major donors saying, "Hey, my mom taught drama for many years. I would have given you that money." And I said, "Well, if it doesn't work, if something happens, I'll let you know." And I said, "But I have some other projects." Radio silence. So I have that gentleman. I know someday he'll come forward with something in something that's important to him. But that's the where we're at, which is exciting, because now you're matching people with things that are really important to them. So that's kind of what we've seen on our landscape. We will be entering, and we haven't announced it yet, into a major capital campaign we'll probably announce later this year that will involve, as I said, developing the property across the street. We have some preliminary plans for like an indoor turf field and a weight room, some classrooms, so we don't have to have a modular classroom out in the parking lot. Had some early conversations with the mayor, and probably have more about, if this is realized, that those athletic facilities we'd certainly make available to the youth of Malden as well, because that's important to us. But we'll be ramping up and looking for donors for that project in the near future.
Mm. I'm cognizant of time here, and I know we always have end kind of with the one question, which I'll let Kevin lead with, but wonder you have the final word here, John, in the sense of anything that you want to make sure you share with us about Malden Catholic and what we didn't cover today.
I think just summary, Donna, it would be good that Malden Catholic, we are very thankful. We're probably the fastest growing Catholic school in the area. We're probably in one of the strongest financial positions of Catholic schools, and we have a very bright future. As a co-divisional school, we're very unique. The communities we draw from and the aid we give makes us something pretty special. We're sponsored by the Zavarian Brothers, which is a pretty special brand of schools. And we're located in an amazing city, Malden. And if anybody was listening to this podcast, I would say as president of the school, we're so thankful to the city. We have many students here. We give aid so they can attend, and we want to continue our partnership. We don't think we're a lone island. We think we're successful and exist because of our partnership with the city. I can't say enough good things about your city leaders and how supportive they've been of our school. And we're just really excited because we think not only the city of Malden, but Malden Catholic has some pretty exciting days ahead. And, as you mentioned, sometimes people might overlook us or not consider us, but I think we're going to surprise a lot of people in the years to come. And I'm just glad we're on this journey together.
I think you've already had some nice surprises, which is wonderful to see, and hopefully and it sounds like those will continue.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, do you want to wrap up with our final question?
Yeah, John, thank you so much for your commitment to the community, commitment to the city, and the students. $1.4 million to students. It's just it's wow. It's just amazing, and we're also really thankful that you are a diamond sponsor at the Malden Chamber. And one thing that is always very curious is, why join a chamber, Malden Chamber in particular, and then why be a diamond sponsor? Like, what is it that is important for you and for your organization, for Malden Catholic, to be part of this in this way?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. Well, first, we love Joan. She's amazing. And, that by itself is a great thing. But in terms of the bigger picture, I really feel that a chamber of commerce is the life system of a city that connects businesses together. And we're stronger together than we are by ourselves. Each one of us every day is working and serving the community, getting to know people, learning things about the community. And together we can make a tremendous difference and learn from each other. So to me, a chamber being involved in the community is essential. If you're really going to say what you're doing, you want it to make a difference. You want to have allies. You want to have other folks you can partner with along the way to share knowledge, share resources, and do other types of partnerships. And what better way to do that than to show support at the diamond level? I think that shows to the whole community that a business believes in the city it finds itself in and wants to do whatever it can to support it. So, those are my thoughts about being a diamond sponsor. Joan is just frosting on the cake because she's amazing. And we're so glad that we're a part of the chamber and always looking for other ways that we can serve the chamber and do our part.
It's kind of like it's a little weak of analogy, but I when you were talking, John, it reminded me of what you said earlier in the beginning about co-divisional, right? United in purpose.
Yep.
And so I think that's somewhat what you're talking about is, we're different, but we're united in purpose. So that kind of echoed all the way through in your conversation about your decision to join the chamber and decision to be a diamond sponsor.
Yeah, Donna, if you want to borrow Philippians 2:2, we didn't come up with it. It was already out there. So I'm sure, united in spirit, intent on one purpose, you can adopt that.
Appreciate the tip.
Yeah, sure. No worries. Well, you guys are wonderful. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this. I'd be remiss if I didn't turn to my right and ask my chief marketing officer if there's anything else you want. No, she's shaking her head.
Great job,
She's-
all of you. Very entertaining.
So, okay. Well, thank you, both of you, so much. And I wish you the best the rest of the year and during your podcast.
Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing it in person. And Diane, thanks for facilitating this.
Thanks, guys. Wait, now you can see me. Jump back
Thank
on.
you for your time.
Thanks. You guys all did an awesome job.
Okay,
Thanks. All right.
take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.